What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Altcoin Buzz here. Let me go ahead and close this door real quick. All right, let's see here. If anyone's out there, go ahead and there we go. Aussie Drama. He's just been tuning in with me on Island Hopper TV. If you guys want to keep up to date with what was going on in the Big Islands, a lava flow, the eruption, we just went live over and talked about that. So, yeah, if you guys want to hear about what's going on about that, go over to Island Hopper TV after you watch this video and check out that live feed. But today we're going to talk about big money. So over on Island Hopper TV, actually, because some of you guys are over there, you guys were talking to me about cryptocurrency over there, and one of the questions that came up was, hey, get out. You shouldn't be invested in Bitcoin because a lot of people who are invested in Bitcoin, they just want to make profit. They're not actually real investors. And I thought about it for a second. And I said, yeah, but most of these people who are like that, they're only playing with $600 to $1,000 at a time. The real money is in the institutional investors. Even if you took 1,000 of these when Lambo guys who are, just playing with 600, and if you're one of those guys who had $600 or $1,000 in the market, don't feel like I'm targeting you. Yeah, guys, throw up the likes, shout out the likes if you're able to hear me. I just want to make sure. Anyway, so all right, so it looks like you guys have smashed those likes. Thank you to everyone who smashed up the likes. So the thing with that is, even if 1,000 people with $1,000, that's still $100,000. When institutional investors and an institutional capital comes in, it's millions and sometimes billions of dollars potential, right? So that's what makes up the majority of this market. It's not a bunch of millennials who just want Lambos who are playing with $600 and $1,000. And like I said, if you're one of those people who have $600 or $1,000 and that's all you can afford to invest, hey, kudos to you. What we're talking about is the fact that if you're one of those people who see an opportunity and believe in the tech and all that, great. But the majority of the money comes from institutional investors. It's not coming from people who are putting $600 or $1,000 into the market at a time. That is not what's building this market. So now, if the herd comes and we go from less than 1% to 10%, the institutional investment, they get their money back out of the deal, right? But that's when we'll start seeing where this amateur investors will have more play in this market and more pool in the market than it just being about institutional investors. Now, one of the other things that was brought up on that, they said, hey, when you went to China, did you feel as though that you could see a need or a use case for substratum? Yeah, guys, smash up those likes. Appreciate you guys who are doing that. Jaquez from Africa says, just smashed it right up here in San Diego, bro. Shout out to San Diego. Shout out to you, Jaquez. So we're going to talk about John McAfee. Yes, don't worry. I didn't just put John McAfee in there for clickbait. We're going to talk about what he said and how he called out Jamie Dimon. But I want to talk about the substratum stuff where you guys were saying, hey, a decentralized internet solution like Substratum, when after your experience going into China, have changed and you could see a great use case in supporting Substratum for the long haul? Yes and no. So why do I say no? Well, can Substratum actually penetrate the firewall in China? That's the big question. Will they even be able to be utilized in China? If you're invested in Substratum, why don't you guys pose that to Justin Tab or some of the Substratum team and say, hey guys, how do you plan on handling the China stuff, the decentralized internet, right? How are you going to function in China? Aussie Drama said, hit the likes harder than Jeff hits the hot Asian chicks. No, man, come on now. Let's keep this, what is this, PG? G. Let's keep it G rated. Even I don't cuss on here. Just kidding. Sometimes I do. I wish John wasn't drunk when he called it Chase. So, okay, so what's the big thing with John McAfee? What did he say to Jamie Dimon that's got everyone stoked up here? You guys are going to need to go onto Twitter, check out John McAfee's most recent post that was posted 3 hours ago. I tell JP Morgan the truth and make Jamie Dimon an offer. He calls Jamie Dimon Jamie Demon. I don't know if he does that on purpose, but I think it's Jamie Dimon. Is it Jamie Dimon or Jamie Demon? But John McAfee calls him Jamie Demon. Okay, so he says, I make Jamie Dimon an offer that no man with an IQ above 12 could refuse. From a video that will be shown at the World Blockchain Conference in Atlantic City on July 12th of this year, I will be keynoting. So John has put it on his radar to basically call out Jamie Dimon uh, from JP Morgan, and he said, you better get on this train while it's still at the station, because when this big thing starts moving and it starts leaving the station, if you're not on board, you're going to get left behind, Jamie. Is what basically John says, but he does it a little bit more abrasive. I mean, he basically, like you said, I wish John wasn't drunk when he said that, because that's the first thing that kind of came into my head. I was like, I wish John was a little bit more tactful in saying this, because if I'm Jamie Dimon and he's calling me out like that, um, I'm saying, hey, that's them there are like fighting words. I mean, not fighting, but I mean, they're not going to go. It's not like you're going to see the next John McAfee and Jamie Dimon, whatever his name is, in the ring like Connor and Floyd. But that would be amazing. I'm sure that would sell out. um, his eyes were glossy. Yeah, maybe he was drunk. I don't know. I'm not here to talk about John's sobriety, because and it's not my place to talk about that. But I think you guys can. But I wish John would have a little bit more tact in the way that he approached it. Although one of the things that John's like Trump in the sense that, so we saw how Trump was this bombastic guy with a lot of bravado who'll say anything, even if it's a firecracker, to any national leader. He'll call out Hillary, he'll call out Jeb Bush, he'll call out anybody, anybody. No one was off limits to Trump. It's kind of like how John McAfee is, which is why he's so bombastic. People are like, after dealing with like 10 years of liberal state-run media and liberal-run country, to see someone who thinks outside the box, it's like we're in that. It's like our world is now in that paradigm where like bombastic is in. Whereas before it was like, how politically correct can you be and how can you walk on eggshells the best. You know, I mean, Canada's still got a president in Trudeau who's still like that. But even that guy from what's his name from France, he's starting to hang out with Trump and starting to get a little bit more bombastic because he's seeing a utility in that. Philippines has a president like that too. Rodrigo Duterte, he's kind of crazy. He'll say anything, kind of like Trump, which makes me think we're in this paradigm where you got McAfee, Trump, Duterte, say anything kind of guys, even if it's politically correct and it doesn't matter who it's going to offend. And that's kind of how McAfee is, right? But people don't like McAfee, especially the ones who watched Gringo. They say, "How could you ever support a guy who potentially killed somebody? How could you ever, this and that?" And to those people, I say, well, um, the United States judicial system says innocent until proven guilty, and I'm not a prosecutor, and I'm not trying to do anything other than just say, hey, the guy was let off. So if he was guilty, I mean, then he'd be behind prison bars. But hey, I mean, all of us, we weren't there, we don't know. So outside of that, people say he's on coke or whatever they say he's on, and I'm saying, hey, I don't know if he's on that either. He claims he's not on any drugs, but he does claim he drinks a lot of alcohol. So I mean, what am I supposed to say? James Wright says he's a pirate. That is what I've always compared John McAfee to. So I've watched Pirates of the Caribbean. I've watched all these movies. John McAfee reminds me of a crypto pirate. I'm not sure he would agree if he heard me call him a crypto pirate, but that's kind of how I perceive John. Is that he's just like this guy who's a pirate. Kind of looks like one. They say poo in mouth. Jeff, what happened to the picture of you on your wall? Oh, I took down that picture because I saw. So okay, as you know, um, in Hawaii, which is where I'm currently at. So my home base is in San Diego. I'm also getting ready to also set up a home base in Phoenix. But I also have some positioning here in Hawaii. There was an earthquake in Big Island, right? There's that volcano lava flow that's going off. If, like I said, if in the beginning of the video, you can check out Island Hopper TV and you could see what I was talking about with that earthquake. But um, every time I would fix that picture, like it was hanging on these little tacks, and every time I'd fix it, I'd look back and it would get crooked again. And you guys were seeing that, and you were like, someone said the funniest thing on one of the comments. He said, dude, bro, my OCD is killing me looking at that picture. So I took it down. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, dude, is Hawaii getting hit with some earthquakes right now? And do I need to take that down? So I took it down. Did I see any lava? Heck yeah, I've seen lava, man. When I lived on the Big Island, when I was staying on the Big Island for a while down in Kona, I used to go down there. First time I ever went down there, I know this isn't crypto related, but I think a lot of you guys will find this to be amazing because this was one of the most epic things I ever did in my life. So there was this guy, his name's Kavika. I'm not going to say his last name, but he's a cool guy. He might be famous one day. But Kavika, he's a Hawaiian dude. He picked me up at 9 o'clock at night. He said, we got to go out there at night because it's going to take a long time and we want to be there in the morning. The only way to hike out to the lava is you got to go from Kona at 9 at night, arrive there at like midnight because it takes 3 hours to get to Volcano National Park on the Big Island. Then you park. We rode the bikes. I had my big backpack on, like this military grade dry bag, and I had my drone in there with all my camera gear. Like, a drone box is like this big. This was a Phantom, and this was before so we had to fly from off the national park boundary. Smash up the likes, guys, if you guys are cool with that. And then so we were flying we got there, right? We rode the bikes, we parked the bikes. It took about an hour to ride down this like crazy road. I'm just following this guy. He's like he runs in like the Iron Man and all that, and I'm just like this like dude who works on a computer. I'm in all right shape. Basically, he kind of told me like in a subtle way, like, please don't complain. Like, I'm gonna take you on this adventure, but don't complain. Like, I don't have time for complaining. So every time I was like, oh man, this is amazing. Like every time I wanted to complain, I was like, oh man, this is amazing. But I was like, oh man, I'm hurting. Like it was one of those kind of treks. We parked the bikes at one, we put them into this like lava ravine, and we start hiking over the lava field up to the Pali. The Pali is what they call a cliff. Like, Nepali, it's called Nepali Cliffs because so that's what a cliff is in Hawaii. And if you guys are okay with me talking about this, I'll keep going. But if you guys are bored, I'll make it fast because I know you guys mostly are tuning in for crypto. So as we're walking out there, I see lava flowing underneath the rocks. Like you see hot glowing lava. I'm telling him, I'm like, is it safe to walk on this? And he's like, well, I don't know, but just do you trust me? He's like, I've done this before. And I'm like, so I was like, I stopped like in the middle of my tracks, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Last thing I want to do is like have like a rock collapse underneath me and fall into a lava fire. I was like scared about that. Anyways, we went out there, and everything ended up. I mean, it was beautiful. I saw shooting stars. Like there's lava. It's probably the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. Most amazing thing was to see like active lava. Lava's like liquid earth. You know what I mean? So it was amazing. All right. So you guys are saying you love the story. Some of you are saying back to crypto, please. Let's get back into crypto and talk about some of these coins. So currently we're at a $458 billion market cap. And if we just drill this down here, you're asking, everyone wants to know, hey, are we bullish? And well, go on to coin market cap and click on the market cap and see if we're still in an uptrend. And if at any given point we were to enter into one of those periods where we had to take 2 steps back, doesn't mean that we're not going to take 3 steps forward after that. So no matter what, I have the right mentality. I'm in this to win it. If it goes low, I buy. I hold right now and I'm riding it up. Okay, maybe I'll find a point where I have to sell some of my positions, but I'm not immature investor anymore. Okay, I'm not 21 years old trying to invest for the very first time in my life. I've been doing this for a long enough time where I realize patience is a key. You got to have patience for this kind of stuff. And I mean, if we just look at the charts, I mean, all we can look at is the charts and make assumptions on that. Doesn't mean that anyone has a crystal ball. I can't pull a crystal ball out and say that anything's true. But I could say that, hey, yeah, I mean, if I just look at the charts, it looks like we're on an uptrend that's going to continue, unless you guys have reason to believe that it's not. Hey, Jeff, what has caught your eye today as a rising star? Well, as far as rising stars, I mean, if we just go onto our Twitter, altcoin buzz IO, we tweet a lot of different stuff out over there. And one of the things that I like to do is to turn it over to the community because I trust you guys. You guys have been our community. So when you guys are making recommendations on some coins that you guys like, we said, what altcoin is buzzing your radar at the moment? Maybe we can dive in and take a look. So if we look, some of the coins that, well, obviously we got just people who just shill coins left and right for no reason whatsoever. But if you look at if you just look at the some of the recommendations, you have people who are still big on credits, Telcoin, um, but we still have a bunch of people who are kind of on the fence, uh, tweeting crazy things. I don't know much about this Electrocoin, and I want to know if our community is really big on Electrocoin. But I'm trying to get some feedback from you guys in the community, but it's mostly just kind of the same coins over and over that you guys like. Uh, some of you guys are still on the Linda coin. I think Quant Stamp, I'm really pleased with Quant Stamp lately. And I think Quant Stamp's potentially still undervalued. As you know, people are still saying, hey, what's going on with Blue? Quant Stamp and Blue are similar. I mean, which one do you believe in more? Which one do you think has more upside? I mean, that's a great question, right? So do you guys hold Blue or Quant Stamp out there? Smash up the likes if you guys are into Blue. We're at 170 right now. Mitch Eager says Quant. So only 8 people are in the Blue so far. A lot of you guys are in the Quant Stamp, it looks like. Okay, so not a lot of you guys are in the Blue right now. If you guys don't know what Blue is, formerly known as Ethereum Blue, but it's like the boys are blue, the boys in blue. That's like they're trying to police the crypto community to make sure that there's no scams and no BS and riffraff taking place. So that's kind of what Ethereum Blue, formerly known as Ethereum Blue, is doing. So that's Blue. So it looks like some of you guys are actually out there invested in Blue. Probably not the biggest community that I thought. I thought there would be a little bit more support for the Blue project just because of what they're trying to achieve, but it doesn't look like it's there. It's okay. But if we just drill down and we look at Blue at the price, I think it's been fairly underrated or undervalued and currently sitting at 20 cents. I mean, it really was a great buying opportunity at 12 cents, but Blue has been at almost $2. So the next question is, will these coins revisit all-time highs? So the question was, uh, hey, will Cardano revisit its all-time high? And let's review that. So if we're looking at projects, coins that hit all-time highs that are way back off all-time highs, like Blue, for example, at $2. Well, has Blue's project gotten better or worse? So as the market strengthens and the project gets better, shouldn't it have a high potential of revisiting that all-time high? And in Blue's case, being that it's strengthened its project and it's well off its all-time high, shouldn't Ethereum Blue, or Blue as it's known, doesn't it make sense that it could potentially revisit its all-time high of $2? So getting into a position of Blue at $2, especially as it's got fairly low, that just kind of on paper seems to make sense, doesn't it? Now, if the project had gotten worse and it had, deteriorated and it was deteriorating, then it might not be possible to suggest that it could revisit its all-time high. Same case with Cardano. So people are saying, hey, will Cardano revisit its all-time high? So Cardano was once almost 128, currently sitting at 36 cents. So I think Cardano at this price is still a decent buy, and because as the market strengthens, if the market strengthens, assuming it does strengthen, it will retest its all-time high of 128. So buying it at 36 cents seems to be a decent buying opportunity, right? That's just kind of a way to forecast a logical approach. Did the project get stronger than it was when it hit that all-time high? So if it hit that all-time high right then, eh, assuming the market strengthens, why would it not retest that, right? What are your thoughts on Ion? I think I know about Ion. Isn't that an privacy coin? Let me take a look at Ion. It's either Ion or Aeon. Okay, a multi-tier system designed to address unsolved questions of scalability and interoperability on blockchain networks. Not too familiar with it, although they use some cool words like Kilimanjaro for phase one in 2018. That's kind of cool, but I mean, I'm not buying it because of the names of anything, right? But it it's okay. I mean, I don't have any thoughts on it outside of that. Polymath. You guys like Polymath? Let's take a look at this Polymath and see what's going on here. So it's a 90 90 cents, February 17th. February 19th, it was as high as 155. I don't know. Maybe it's a strong project. Got a $217 million market cap. Let's take a look at this project to see what we got going on with Polymath. The securities token platform. So uh, we'll have to take a look at this a little bit more in detail to see how it stacks up against something like QuantStamp or Blue. The next mega trend in crypto is the emergence of security tokens, right? Okay, so they're talking about securities tokens versus utility tokens. So that's interesting. It is a token. You would think something like this would be a coin, though. So for those of you who do you guys want me to go over what the difference is between a utility token and a security token, or do you guys already feel confident that you understand the difference between a security token and a utility token and why that even matters to you? Because some people they don't understand these things, and if they don't understand these things, it's probably best that as a community that we do our best to get people on board with that. So I'll just go over it real quick. Utility tokens, also called user tokens or app coins, right? Represent future access to a company's product or service. The defining characteristic of a utility token is that they are designed as investments. If properly structured, this feature exempts utility tokens from federal laws governing securities. So you guys know about that, right? So a security token, if a crypto token derives its value from an external tradable asset, it is classified as a security token and becomes subject to federal security laws. Failure to abide by these regulations could result in costly penalties and could threaten to derail a project. However, if a startup meets all its regulatory obligations, the security token classification creates the potential for a wide variety of applications, most promising of which is the utility to issue tokens that represent shares of company stock, right? So, um, Polymath having that kind of commentary about what it's looking to achieve, fairly interesting. Um, so, I hope that kind of puts things into perspective about the difference between a utility and a security. But as you can see, legality wise, there is a discussion that's taking place. And because it's a gray area currently, that's what the debate is on Capitol Hill, right? And at the G20, it's like, are these securities or the utilities? And there's a big difference, as you can see by definition. So, you guys are asking some other questions here. Um, let's see here. Okay, so you're saying what are some examples of utility tokens and security tokens? So here are three types of crypto asset classes: store of value, security tokens, and utility tokens. General purpose stores of value should be valued using the equation of exchange. Because these currencies are independent monetary bases. Example: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, Dash, Monero, Decred. So these are some of the examples. Um, The vast majority of ICOs that launched in 2016 and 2017 were utility tokens. That also acted as a proprietary payment system. These include many of the highest profile projects: Filecoin, Golem, OX, Civic, Radiant, Basic Attention Token, and more. So that's kind of the direction that you would go with the utility token, right? So Golem, for example. Why is Golem a utility? Because the utility in Golem is it's a supercomputer, right? So, why would you use Golem? Well, if you needed extra computation power, you would use Golem. If you needed to, why would you use Power Ledger, right? So these are utility tokens, right? Okay, so what else are you guys asking? So you guys are asking about utility tokens. Does that clear up what the examples of utility tokens are? And I use that as a matter of reference for you guys, so that you guys, so that I don't misspeak on something uh, off the cuff here. All right, so we're dialing this in here. Yeah. Please upload this live stream as a video when it's over. I want to be able to look back and research what you were talking about. Yeah, you guys could go back onto the video. So what happens is these live feeds, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for it to process and upload, and then then you can access it. So you have to give it like sometimes 30 minutes, and then you can go back. You can access any of my live feeds that are on there. It says live with Jeff. I'm already back, but I'm going to be going to the mainland if that's what you're considering home here in the next few days. See you later, Michael. Okay, so you guys want to take a look at Google Trends and see what's trending on Google Trends. Do you guys ever use Google Trends? So if we just go to Google Trends, so one of the ways, okay, so right now the market's being driven by institutional money. It's not because of millennial investors or just average amateur investors just coming in and dumping some new money in, right? So for example, if we go to Google Trends, right at the top, it says explore topics. Let's type in Bitcoin. So, what this is going to be an example of is the mainstream adoption. So, let's take a look at Bitcoin over the last, I don't know, last 90 days, right? So, if we go to Bitcoin over the last 90 days, it just keeps going lower. So the mainstream interest in Bitcoin is going lower. There's not a lot of interest in Bitcoin at the current moment. Why is that? Well, the mainstream media is not talking about it. Um, it's just it's just not getting that publicity that it's going to need to get people's attention for the mainstream adoption, which essentially is allowing the infrastructure to be laid, the infrastructure to be put in place, and uh, these banks and all these investment firms to get in there and take out a position low, because when they start to really brand it and push it out to the world, that's what they're going to be leaning on. Really, uh, is Bitcoin to kind of cast the big net. So if we just look at cryptocurrency, for example, and we see how that stacks up over the last uh, 3 months. So cryptocurrency not seeing an uptick. So just overall, this is some of the lowest we've seen, despite the fact that the market's looking bullish, which could indicate still an opportunity to buy because there's a low interest. So there's not a lot of interest, which could indicate either one of two things to you. You could say, "Oh my gosh, is this thing ever going to recover?" Or you could say, "Wow, that means there's still an opportunity for us to move up." Right? It's like if you're at one and your 5-year-old's over there counting to 20, just because she's stuck on one and doesn't know what two or three or four is, doesn't mean she won't get there. It just means it's taking time for her to think of what the next number is called, right? And that's kind of what I'm saying is just because there's a low interest right now does not mean that it's not going to go up. It just means that it's bottomed out and it's flatlining. So typically, people who read charts, they say this is kind of an opportunity. But right now, the reason it's going up is because institutional investors are coming in because they're staking their claim, laying the foundation for when this thing starts really tuning up. Thank you to everyone. Okay, so let's do this. Thanks to everyone who smashed up the likes. If you guys think this market is bullish and going up, go ahead and smash up the likes. We're at 218 right now. Let's turn it over to you guys. We'll use this as a poll. Whoa, went from 221 to 251, 269, 279. We're moving fast. There's a lot of you guys who think we're bullish. 286, 290. Okay, so a lot of you guys obviously out there, and obviously I realize a lot of you guys can't smash the like button more than once, right? Um, Lord Awesome says slow bullish, slow bullish. Okay. Lincoln K says love the likes. Hey, how do you feel about Zilliqa? That's another one that you guys have been talking about. Yeah, so then someone said we're hitting Bitcoin's going to be hitting 100K in October. Hey, if I just flash back to last October, okay, so if we just look at Google Trends, because you guys are obviously smart enough to use Google Trends and you see the value in Google Trends, um, let's just take a look back over the last 12 months and see how we're stacking up compared to last October. Because one thing that we could see here, so what happened? So if we just look at Google Trends, October, things were low. We were flat just like we were right now. Then all of a sudden, late October, things started to move up. Then by late November, we saw, so we were okay, so we were going like this in October, last October. Then we started to go like this a little bit, like a slow descent, and then we saw one of those. So, I mean, when this thing starts to move, it's going to happen. It's not going to be like it's not like an eruption, right? It's not like a slow buildup. It's like, whoa, we have liftoff, and like here it goes. Like you're going to only have like 2 to 3 weeks before you can identify the liftoff. Some of you are saying that they want to smack up the like button, but they think we're bearish. I'm not even going to ask how many people think we're bearish, not because I'm not interested in that. It's just I'm just not going to do it. But I appreciate the people who think we're bearish, and I think that's very valuable to have that insight because that's important. We need to be able to look at the other side of the coin. We can't just always look at heads. Sometimes we have to look at the tail. um, all right. How do you feel about Zilliqa? So, all right, you guys keep talking about Zilliqa. I don't know. I don't know how many of you guys are actually. I don't know if you guys that are talking about Zilliqa consistently are actual like real people talking about Zilliqa, or if you're just like from one of those troll channels trying to troll me here. But it's almost $1 billion market cap. I hold zero Zilliqa. It's ranked 31. Let's go ahead and dive into Zilliqa. So when did it first hit the market? Okay, yeah, it hitting that time frame when I stopped checking out new coins. It looks like it's rebounded back close to when it first hit the market. I mean, at, at which means it's getting close to an all-time high. So Zilliqa coming into an all-time high. I'm probably not going to step into Zilliqa right now, and if I miss the boat, then I will. But they're calling it the next generation high output, high throughput blockchain platform. Like I said, it's a token. And we recently released our public testnet. Check out our testnet Block Explorer. And while Zilliqa is looking for highly motivated software engineers, okay, so they're recruiting within the community. Uh, well, one thing I'll say, if I go to their website, I have no idea what the heck they're doing other than they're calling themselves the next generation of next throughput blockchain platform, which to me is cool talk, but I'm not too impressed with their. So let's go ahead and take a look at their white paper. Existing cryptocurrencies and smart contract platforms are known to have scalability issues. The number of transactions, okay. Um, Cryptocurrencies and smart contract platforms are becoming a shared computational resource. I have to do a little bit more research. They're not they're not talking anything special. They're not doing anything to really grab my attention on the first bit, which is I think a marketing disaster in the sense that if you're a really great project, you want it to be very easy for someone to understand, especially when they first land there. So that means I'm going to have to dig in, which is okay with me, but I'm not seeing too much action here that really sets them apart, other than the fact that they've positioned themselves pretty wisely, maybe from a marketing community developing. But I don't see anything here that's going to move me to say, yeah, this coin's all star. It could be. Yeah, if you guys are asking, hey, why am I not getting notified with these live streams? You guys have to turn on the bell. If you guys don't turn on the bell, why do you think you're not getting notified? Internet node token. Jeff, you're looking like a doll, bro. A doll? I look like a doll? What do you mean? A doll? That is funny. Someone just said I'm looking like a doll. That is just hilarious. Um, Someone said, no, looks like a Russian agent. Oh man. Yeah, when I go overseas, I'm like, they're like, where are you from? Well, they say it a lot nicer because people over there are pretty nice overseas typically. They're like, where are you from? I'm like, guess. They're like, Australia. I'm like, no. So they almost always think I'm from Australia first. They don't even know the difference between an Aussie accent and a US accent. Then they say Ireland or Scotland. I'm like, no. And then I say, I'm from America. And they're like, "Oh, America, USA, very big country." I'm like, "Yeah, USA, very big country." And they're like, "Oh, USA, very big country." Um, but yeah, most people think I'm from Australia, surprisingly enough. But that's in Southeast Asia because really close to Southeast Asia is Australia, so Aussies go there. I mean, if I go to Mexico, they're going to say, "Oh, you're clearly from the United States, right?" Or if I'm in Costa Rica or anywhere down south of the equator in But Southeast Asia, I guess I look like I'm an Aussie. I will say this: my grandpa and my mom were born in Australia. I was born in the United States. Okay, so this is a funny comment coming from Benny K. Before you started live streaming, I just imagine you look like Dr. Phil. That cracks me up. Like, that is funny. That is hilarious. Raj Aaron, he says redneck. That's funny too. I've had some people from some places say Jeff looks like a dumb, uneducated redneck. Like, well, I did go to college. I almost got a master's degree. I dropped out before I graduated at my capstone. So I went through the whole curriculum for my cybersecurity degree, and I dropped out right at my capstone. People were like, "Oh my gosh, you went all the way to the mountain and you turned around right when you could see the summit." I'm like, "Yeah, because I was like, this is weak." I was like, I just went through the whole curriculum and now you want me to write a 23-page essay on this? By the way, in case you're wondering, and this is not me gloating, I did get A and B average. And that's not a lie. So I mean, it wasn't like I was challenged by the course or and bitter because of it. It's just I didn't want to write a 23-page capstone for something that I didn't feel accurately taught me cybersecurity. Being that I work in tech and I'm in cryptocurrency and all these different things, I'm like, there's a lot more to cybersecurity than just this. And that's my problem with uh, this fast food kind of education system that we have these days. But yeah, I know about cybersecurity from what they taught me, and just because I didn't write my capstone doesn't mean I didn't go through the curriculum. It's like just because you could watch all these channels, but just because you don't take the test doesn't mean that you don't know cryptocurrency, right? Better than the person who knows who took the test, right? So the test is all blah blah blah, and even then they don't even make it. They're not even doing tests anymore. They're just doing essay papers. But since you guys asked, they said, "What was your number one subject in college?" For those of you who want to know, it was foreign policy. So There was only one class I ever aced. It was called foreign policy. Who needs college when you have Bitcoin, right? Uh, you are putting yourself out there. Good for you. And trolls love nothing but trolling. I would not want to start a fight with Jeff. No, I'm not a fighter, man. I've been in fights. I don't like fighting. I haven't gotten in a fight. I was even proud of myself. I was like, I think it's been a long time since I've been into a fight. But when I was in the Navy, we used to do like WW Smackdowns, and it was always the young guys. I was a young guy, a junior, versus the leadership. And one of the ways the olders used to want to whip us into shape was they would call us out and they'd do W Smackdown. So if you were an honorary little talking guy and you wanted to put your money where your mouth is, they'd call you out and they'd say, "Let's go, let's do this WCW Smackdown." And I'd be like, at first I was scared. I was like, dude, that guy's huge. I was like, that guy's yoked. He's big. Um, but I remember I had this very little guy. He was in our command. This is going to inspire the little guys out there. By the way, guys, we talk about crypto for the first 20 minutes, then we turn it over to you guys. But one of the things that ended up happening was he told me, he said, "Yeah, my sensei said that if anyone ever gets you into a headlock or something, um, what you want to do is weather their storm. So like if you're getting beat up and they're choking you out, try to live through that, because if you can live through that after they've exerted all their energy trying to get you to tap out, then they got to deal with you and all your energy and they're tired." So I watched this kid, this little guy who just would wallop these big guys. I'm talking like dudes who look like John Cena. This guy was like maybe a buck 35, 135 pounds. And I was like, okay, I was like, dude, what's your secret? His name was Armstrong, and they called him Army Strong because all he talked about was going into the army, and so they call him Army Strong. And anyway, this guy, he told me that, and I was like, all right. If one of them starts choking me out, I'm just gonna like, if they get their big old anacondas around my neck, which is probably gonna end up happening, because they're used to fighting and doing this, and so I did that, and sure enough, it worked. And I was like, okay, so I found it to be pretty risky for senior leadership to take on younger guys, especially if they potentially lost. And so once I had some success with that, um, but like I said, I don't like fighting. I'm not like Conor McGregor or anyone into that. Crypto lover says blah blah blah. So let's get back into what you guys want to talk about. So crypto lovers not freaking out over here. Um, let's focus on our retirement, says Sebastian. Diamond Dallas. All right. You guys want me to keep going? Smash up the likes. Otherwise, we could call it here. We're at 40 minutes in. It's pretty long. Uh, Crypto lovers getting bored. He says blah blah blah. Invest in upcoming roadmaps and have your stop set. Says Lord Awesomeness. Hey Jeff, what's your thoughts on data? DTA. Love your streams. I don't really have too much thoughts. I like data the most. So smash up the likes if you want me to keep going. Otherwise, we can end it here. Um, the Bushwhackers are friends of mine. Yeah, we just talked about Quant Stamp. We just talked about Blue earlier in the stream. So some people are saying more stories, um, but because this is a cryptocurrency channel, I should probably try to still tell more cryptocurrency stories. Although I can't tell the same stories over and over. Um, but see you later, crypto lover. How do I know entry and exit points? Market's bullish, but I'm confused. Well, okay, so like if you see, look at the charts. So if you're looking at the charts and you see that it's like at a high, at an all-time high, you're going to be confronted with one of two choices. You're going to say, well, it's been undervalued for so long and it's getting ready to take off, okay? Or you're going to say, it's at an all-time high and I shouldn't buy right now because I think it's overvalued. So because there's 1,600 different projects out there, you're going to have to be able to have that discernment and that ability to already look over those kind of things. Ernesto says he already smashed up the likes. You guys smashed up the likes over there, so we'll stay here. Carlos Rodriguez says, hey, Jeff, missed the Island Hopper stream. How's your night going? It's going pretty good, Carlos. Yeah, so if you guys are new here, you could check out Island Hopper TV. It's another one of my channels over there, which is where I talk about island hopping and traveling around and telling stories about that, which is kind of, I'm actually, it's a great way to put travelers, people who travel, and introduce them to. It's a segue for cryptocurrency because every once in a while, being especially that a lot of you guys are following the channel over there with that are from Altcoin Buzz and you're following Island Hopper TV. It's a great way for us to kind of segue it and introduce it to them in a non-aggressive way, right? It's like we're not trying to sell anyone anything. We're just saying, hey, this is what exists, and we kind of talk about it over there. But travelers, I already said today on today's live stream, I said one of the things I like about cryptocurrency is its utility in not having to have like all these coins in my pockets and having a big billfold because I've got 50,000 rupiah, which is only $5, but I've got to carry all this around in my pockets and it's uncomfortable to carry all that around in my pockets, right? I'd rather just carry it all on my phone. So that's a convenience. And people saw the utility in that. They're like, yeah, just having the money on my phone is a lot more convenient than having a big fat billfold and having to lug around all these coins in my pocket along with all these receipts. Let's just put everything on a public ledger and have all the transactions on our phone. So over there at Island Hopper TV, you can follow us over there on YouTube. And anyway, guys, thanks to everyone who tuned in and smashed up the likes. Hope you guys like these live feeds. Turn on the bell if you guys are wanting more of these, and we'll see you guys next time.